Thank you for staying. Time now for the news review. We are joined by Kojo Poku, energy analyst. Kojo, welcome to Thursday on the AM show.
All right, good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm okay under the circumstances. How about you? How are you doing? You're looking all
Uh,
dapper this morning.
well, I always have to make the best for you. When you call me to your show, I have to look my best, Ben. I can't just show up on Ben's show looking all scruffy.
Bernice's and Ben's show. Definitely not. Definitely not. We're glad you take it this seriously.
Well, Ben, I've seen that you started doing Ben's Bite, and I've been watching it.
So it's called Blunt Thoughts.
Something is biting you somewhere. Why? What's going on, Ben?
So it's actually called Blunt Thoughts, and it's just my reflection every week on. You could call it the state of the nation. You could call it some of the things that really get me thinking about our national life and why some things are not moving the way we figure they should. So yes, how do you find them though?
Well, it's very good. It's very insightful, very passionate, I have to say. But then again, hey, that's why we live in a democracy. We all have a right to share our thoughts. And the good thing is that you are sharing them from your perspective, which is the most important thing.
Well, thank you for the commendation there. At least it's come to your notice. Good thing. Let's get into some critical areas of our national life before we get into the papers. So, we all know about the flip flop of the Ghana CD. I keep harping on that because day in, day out, I am interacting with business people. Yesterday, I was doing same, and this person was wailing, bemoaning the current situation because guess what? Now he can't even plan when it comes to his business. The imports he has to bring into the country, he can't even plan anymore because these are conducted in hard currency, the American dollar, the greenback, so to speak. And he has no breathing space. He doesn't know what the rate will be like tomorrow if he uses CDs to get the dollar and all of that. What changes there could be on the market? What changes there would have to be on his product when he has to sell it when it gets to the market? And how he can break even and even make his margin to go for another batch, if you like it. It's become very problematic for this person. That's the first issue. Then, what you heard, I don't know whether you were watching right before we got on, Kweku Baako talking about Galamsey and, of course, the bit about those sex tapes and how some people cannot do what must be done because some of these Chinese have videos of them, and how we've ended up in this situation where fingers are now being pointed at people in this administration for being involved in Galamsey. Your quick take on these two matters, the CD, Galamsey, and then we'll get into the papers.
Well, in terms of the city conversation, it's a bit unfortunate. I have said that we are in a very trying times because the world economy is in bad state. But if you look at Ghana, we are behaving as if we are in isolation. The government has not, except I think some months ago, the finance minister came and said that 30% of CEO salaries and some statement to try and make it look like the government is trying to do something to save the situation. That statement did not do anything to make anything relax. There was no intent, and nobody felt that those things would make the economy any better. So those that are betting on the city are still betting on the city. Then we had the trumpeting of $750 million coming into the system. And those that were betting on the city felt that, look, the 750 million will not do much, so they will still bet on the city. And they were right. What you seem to realize is that today, the government of Ghana is the biggest consumer of Forex, not the private companies, not the Zamrama man that they want to arrest on the side of the road. We pay all our interest on loans in dollars. Most of the loans that we have to pay
But
back,
we don't have a choice on that, do we? You go for
yes,
credit in
exactly. So
dollars, you pay back in
that's why I'm
dollars.
saying that that is the biggest threat that we have in this nation today, the repayment of interest in dollars. What we get in terms of our trade balances, we export. So when we export, we do get some dollars. There is also the inflows of the transfers, the the Western unions and all those inflows in terms of the remittances. Those ones come in, and we also get some balance of payment in terms of dollars as well. But the dollar is still stronger than the cedi, because the appetite for the greenback in this country is now at a point where I'm honestly scared, because this week we've gotten the 1.2 billion from the cocoa syndication. And if between now and the end of the month, that 1.2 billion for cocoa syndication does not break the back or bring back the dollar to the cedi around 9, I'm sorry, by February we'll be in the 15 cedis territory.
So some have predicted we'll get there maybe by December. But do you think 1.2 billion suffices to bring us down to 9? We're already at 11.2. You get it at 11.4 in certain places. I mean, even when the 750 million Afrexim Bank facility came through, though it was not necessarily to shore up the cedi in that way, it couldn't do that. What will 1.2 billion do?
Well, look, there are a number of factors that, like I said, the government needs to do. And I have always said that we need to start saving. You see, we are a broke nation. Whether we admit it or not, we are poor. Today, we are broke. You see, being poor and broke is two different things. Poor is your state where you don't have much. Broke is that you don't have anything at all in your pocket. We are a poor nation that is broke. So basically, whatever we are doing, we are in negative territory at all times, okay? So what we need to do is to stop all these fancy projects and start saving. I don't know why the government really does not get that. You can't still be committed to Agenda 111 in this state that we are in. I'm surprised.
So what? We should ditch it? We should ditch it?
100%, my brother, 100%. You can't be pushing hard-earned currency towards Agenda 111. It's not feasible, my brother. There are a lot of, look, I am part of the party that is forming this government. But to save Ghana, we need to look within and look at projects that we can put on hold to save the currency. There is no point trying to do all these projects when your currency is nosediving. And the investor confidence is not in this economy because nobody doesn't see where you are going to basically save the economy. Waiting for IMF, I keep saying, IMF is only the Imodium. It doesn't solve the stomach upset. It doesn't stop the infection. We need to look internally as a nation and try to save the economy. And the only way you save your economy is to start saving. How do you save? You only have your set revenue. You cannot squeeze water out of a rock because Ghanaians now don't have it. All these things where GRA is going around trying to make it look like all of a sudden they are doing all these things. You are really going to a guy who doesn't have much to try and squeeze things off him. It's not possible. We got into this situation by trying to say that, look, we found oil, our upstream is dead. In the last 5 years, we've done nothing in the upstream. We've been saying that government should abrogate all the contracts that were given to companies in the upstream from 2013, 2014. Only 4 has been abrogated. They should abrogate all of them. The contract for a negotiation, a tender process for company to start drilling oil, okay? There was a tender process. It was trumpeted. Ghana has done the first tender, this. The companies that won that tender, as I speak to you today, we have not signed the agreement 4 years on from the award when they won the tender. So where you can make money, where you can have inflows, foreign direct inflows into the country, you've stagnated it. Okay, the ENI Springfield, it's been going on for 3 years, no resolution. So ENI is not spending money in the country because they don't know what the future holds for them. So we got into this debt situation because of the upstream oil that we have found. That situation has not improved. So don't go around trying to squeeze water out of a rock. This thing GRA is doing in this state is wrong. That is not going to save your city. What you need to do now, cut back on all that projects that you want to do.
Right.
And let people see that there is intent. Now we don't see intent because when we hear the president speak, when we hear the finance minister speak, there is no intent to save the economy.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that. Some passionate thoughts you've been sharing there, and some of them very interesting on the back of, scrapping some of the major projects that government is looking at, aka Agenda 111 and others. We don't know how, because it's mention has been made of the fact that they're sticking to some of these policies and they are not budging on them. Promises have been made on Agenda 111. But that's a discussion we can extend on another day. Let's get into the bit about illegal mining, but I'll situate it in the context of what the Daily Graphic says this morning. It says, illegal mining prosecutions, 187 jailed in Eastern Region, 250 people on trial. This is from a document that I read, of course, the Attorney General in there, that I read, I think, some 2 days ago when we had a conversation on this. But the story says 187 people who engaged in illegal mining, aka Galamsey, in the Eastern Region have been sentenced to various terms of imprisonment since 2017. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfred Dame, has disclosed. Besides, 250 people are currently standing trial for their alleged involvement in illegal mining in the region. Of course, the AG is also calling on, the courts, especially when some of these people were jailed under a previous act, when in fact there's a new act which should have given them stiffer penalties, and he wants that to be brought to bear on them. But some also are looking at this and saying this is the administration, putting out this information to, quote, make it appear they were doing so much, when in fact Galamsey is thriving. Weave that into the fact that there is Akonta mining that we are all talking about, which the OSP is looking at, tied to Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP. Then, in recent times, the names that have been mentioned in the Western Region, the Western Regional Minister, the Member of Parliament for Tarkwa and Suayim, the MCE for that area as well. All of these people being pointed to as Galamseyers, so to speak. Quick reactions.
Well, I will do that in conjunction with the sex tape issue that Mr. Kwaku Bappo mentioned on the previous show. Right. Look, for me, I can't fathom that situation where people in certain high places feel that because somebody will blackmail them, they can't do their work. Look, you've done the act, you face the crime. If it's true that somebody has you on tape, own up to the power that appointed you and leave the position and let somebody else do the work. And that is why people have been calling for a reshuffle of the government.
But do we have people with that kind of moral fabric, that kind of conscience? Time and again, we've proven that we don't. We don't have people who would be able to say on principle that I erred, I failed, I'm stepping aside. We've not shown we have that capacity.
No, we don't. We don't have that, and clearly, I agree that we don't have that. But what I'm saying is that if there's an act you've committed and is not allowing you to do your work, then obviously you're going to fail at your work. Mm. And again, that's why the call for a reshuffle of the people who are leading various sectors of the economy should be done, because the person has been there for 2.5 years. Most of them has been there for 6 years because they've done 4 years in the past. And we are in a situation where we are in. And for you, the president, to be calling on certain actions when you clearly know that that person for 6 years has not done those actions, you need to bring somebody in, even if it's for 1 day. Even if today is the 6th of December and you feel that you need somebody to come in for 1 day to do something different, bring the person in to do something different. I honestly don't see why we think that people who have been there for 6 years should still be low. For me today, I can give you certain ministries that straight away, if you change that, it will rejuvenate the economy, it will rejuvenate people's hope for future. Today, we decide not to do that, but let's put that aside. When you look at the issue of the Akonta mining, and I'm hearing and reading that some leading members, I think the president of National House of Chiefs said that bring me proof. Why should somebody bring you proof? You have a whole task force. You have a whole ministry. You have the forestry department. All it takes is for them to drive. If they don't want to drive, they have people in those areas. Forestry department have people in those areas. Pick a phone call them and ask them, in that Birim forest, is somebody mining? That's all you have to do. Why are you asking us, the public, to bring the proof when you have people situated in these areas that can tell you what is going on in those areas? When people want to do their inaction, they try to now act that bring me proof. You can investigate and get the proof if you want. Okay? So, look, I have said that in terms of jailing, we need to change the law to incorporate equipment owners as well. I believe that that will go a long way to stop the galamsey. If we change the law so that the equipment owners who send their equipment to do the galamsey are also culpable and they are also jailed. Nobody who owns an equipment will allow their equipment to go into the areas to do
I think I
galamsey.
agree with you on that one, because then you would know that if it's not just your equipment that will be impounded, you will face criminal charges. It's
Yes,
not just
if
about
you
making
that,
money.
yes,
And
exactly, yes. 100%. Because I think two things should happen. One, all excavators should be tagged so that at any point in time, all the excavators in this country can be tracked. Okay? So we need to, at the minute all excavators arrive in this country, we should tag it and we can track it. Because clearly, the issue of galamsey has become the way it's become because of excavators. When I used to go to Nananko 15, 25 years ago, they used to do galamsey, but they were doing it with hoes and cutlasses and small thing in the backyard. That was what they were doing. Now, with excavators, they are able to now do damage to the earth that you couldn't do with your bare hand and what the local people were doing 25, 30 years ago. So my point is that we should change the law to now incriminate the equipment owners and also tag all excavators in the country so we can track them.
quickly into other stories, but this one on the front page of the Daily Graphic, I just want us to take a look. This Tata truck with registration number GN376316 has been abandoned on the bypass from the Graphic Communications Group Limited head office to Accra Brewery Limited. And the Daily Graphic is amazed, it says, that such a vehicle could be abandoned for so long with no effort being made to remove it. As things are, it is causing a lot of inconvenience to other road users. I mean, it goes on and on, but you see, some of these matters, they just beat my imagination, beat my mind. It has been there. It is a road hazard. I always go back to what happened to Ebony Rains. Now, we've lost her because some person decided whatever construction they were doing, they left a huge clump of sand, pile of sand on the road. In swerving it, we lost a life. We lost a precious life. I mean, take away everything else she was contributing to our music industry. I see so many of these when I go about town. No one cares until someone dies, maybe at night, someone doesn't see it, plows into it. Then will come, by that time, a life is lost. I simply don't see how we think in this country. Kojo.
Ben, the most annoying, and I'll repeat it again on this show, the most annoying thing you see around now is the police on these motorbikes sitting in the junctions and doing nothing.
You mean the visibility, the police visibility teams?
Look, you can give them all the fancy names you want. Policing in this country is not proactive. You need to go and report a crime before a police. All these motorbikes are interested in traffic offenses to collect money from the drivers. That's all they want to do.
But to be fair,
meanwhile,
to be fair, Kojo, have you seen them engaging in any such activity? Have you seen any such thing?
Well, look, let me give you an example. Kojo Poku was a corporate on my road, Adenta Dodowa Road, okay? Now, there is a junction where the trotro drivers will just basically cut in. It's like a small junction that cuts into the main road. So because of the huge traffic from Adenta going down to Frafraha, the trotro will use the bypass and get in there. Now, I see these two motorbikes parked about 50 meters from this junction, and they're looking unconcerned to what the trotro people are doing, cutting in and obstructing traffic on the main road. They don't do anything about it. So me, in my annoyance, decide to what? Just go past the trotro in front of me so I won't let him cut in. The minute I did that, one of these bikes came and pulled me over. Okay? Now, the rest, what happened, I will not want to share it on this, on your show. But I can tell you that because I resisted some of the advances, I ended up in court. Okay? But the point I'm trying to make is that this car that you've seen parked there, don't you think that those bikes have gone past it several times? They're all over the place. So all the motorbikes, the police on the motorbike, they've gone past this car several times. What have they done about it? You know what the police told me? They are not on the road to stop those things. They are not on the road to stop traffic and those things. They are on the road to just arrest people who are causing traffic offenses. That's why they are on the road. You are police first and foremost. Okay? So if you are police first and foremost, it doesn't mean that if somebody tells you that go and arrest traffic offenders and you see a car like that parked on the side of the road abandoned, you will not radio for the police to come and tow it away. Why wouldn't you do that? That's the point I'm trying to make, Ben. I'm trying to say that the fact that they see these things, they don't act on them because they think that it's not part of the reason why they are there.
Right. And those are interesting dynamics because then you'd ask yourself what exactly their KPIs are, what exactly the role is that they're expected to play on the road as they line up from practically every major stop that you would see.
But the police, the point I'm making, Ben, is that you are a police first and foremost. So it means that as police, you are supposed to look at certain things and correct them. So a car like that parked on the side of the road, I'm telling you that, are you telling me that no policeman on the bike or in the car have driven past this car since it's been there? They have.
Good question.
They just don't care.
Let's get into some other stories now. Just quickly to wrap with the Daily Graphic. Graphic UGBS deepen business relations, and 115,240 graduates begin national service on November the 1st. There's also, in the middle spread, health workers deliberate on climate change for improved outcomes. And I love the fact that we are talking climate change a lot, because guess what? We're facing the brunt of it, and if we don't do something about it, we're going to suffer. And even worse, the generations to come after us. Of course, I'll keep reminding all and sundry that COP27 is coming up in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, and Ghana's voice must be heard forcefully. Looking at what we're facing, the flooding, we may not be facing drought yet, but we're facing food insecurity in different ways. We don't want to get to that point like the Sudans and other places where drought hits you and all of that. Help influence national development. Former President Kufuor urges media. He's pictured there with Albert Kwamina Jumfuor, the president of the GJA. And this interesting one on page 25. Policy on aflatoxins control in food and feed launched. And a national policy on aflatoxins control in food and feed has been launched to create awareness and build the capacity of agricultural value chain operators to produce raw materials devoid of aflatoxin contamination. Of course, we know what that can do. In 2020, about 3,453 people suffered from liver cancer, one of the commonest cancers among men, representing 21.1% of all cancers, on the back of aflatoxins. On the back page, African players to explode in Qatar. Pictured there, Mohamed Kudus from Ghana, Hakim Ziyech from Morocco. There's also Karl Toko Ekambi of Cameroon and Sadio Mane of Senegal, now with Bayern Munich. The Ghanaian Times newspaper. 187 Galamseyas jailed since 2017. We've already looked at that. It also talks about the NSS deployment. NRA tasked to include nuclear power in country's energy mix. I have a quick question for you. NSS deploys 115,240 personnel to begin service November 1. I recall when this entire project started, I recall how in different parts of our national life, they are deployed and all of that. Some to farms. Nowadays, you would see some of them directing traffic and all of that. Is our national service, the way it is currently, is it giving us the best we can tap into from the young people who graduate from all of these institutions? What do you think, Kwejo?
Not at all. It's not. It needs to be revamped. It needs to be changed. We need to look. Our young girls and boys coming out of the universities are used to certain lives these days on campus when they come out, and everybody wants to do service in oil company or Ministry of Finance or somewhere that they can just sit and look pretty. I think that we should look at the model there. At least there should be a boot camp. I think we should include boot camps to our national service. This year, national service has delayed. So even when you go to some of the ministries, because the force, the personnel that comes in mix up in certain areas, in some of the places in the ministries, you realize that they are stretched because the service personnel has not come in. But we need to structure service in such a way that when they come out, we have at least a 1-month boot camp and orientation for the youth, for them to prepare them for what they are coming into, because they are starting their life as it is. They are coming into the real world where they've left the comfort of school and now going to start work. They need to have decency, professionalism, urgency. Okay. Now, when people are coming out of university, as we know it, they have no urgency, they have no professionalism, and they have no decency. So we need to have a 1-month boot camp incorporated in the national service agenda so that we instill some of these things through orientation, so that the person at least is equipped with these things coming into the workplace.
Let's quickly get into the Daily Guide newspaper. Government committee takes inputs for IMF deal. We're all looking forward to that. Apostle Nyamiche blasts fake pastors. And there's Aisha Huang, not my client. Freddie Blaze says so. We'll get into that story. Police officer, 5 others in 1.6 million Ghana city job as scam. The others we've already taken a look at. So let's go to page 3 and start from there. The immediate past national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Simeu Blaze, says his law firm, Blaze & Associates, is not offering any legal representation for En Huang, the Chinese national who is popularly known as Aisha Huang, in the illegal mining case before the Accra Criminal High Court 5. According to him, Blaze & Associates are only representing Shi Yang, alias Philip, Li Weiguo, and Shi Meiji, all Chinese nationals, and a fourth accused person, Nguyen Thi Tan Thuyen, a Vietnamese national. In a statement issued yesterday, Mr. Blaze also clarified that he was not personally involved in the handling of the case by the law firm he belongs to. I find it interesting because, look, there are 2 different dynamics that come to play. It's professional as a lawyer for his firm to represent anybody, regardless of what political party he belongs to. But some have also said on the other end of the spectrum that because of what it conveys about the party and about the fight against Galamsey, this isn't the right thing. Initially, we heard Mr. Blaze talking about the fact that he has every right to do this. Now he's saying, look, I'm not doing this personally. It's just my firm representing some of those who have been found to be complicit. Your reactions?
Well, in life, there's a saying that says that one that much is given, much is expected. Okay, Mr. Blaze is not just ordinary citizen. He's just he's presently the past chairman of the party of the ruling government. He's also the chairman of GMPC board. So his firm, I'm sure if they want to take such a case, should consult a leading partner of the firm if such case should be taken. And my thought as Kojopo is that he should say, no, don't take the case because it's too controversial. There are so many lawyers around the country that can do this case. I don't know what they will give you that will change you. I don't think it's about the money. Okay, so Mr. Blaze is well to do. I don't think it's about the money. People in the firm can do without the negative publicity. Imagine you go and do this case and these guys are found not guilty and you see the perceived interference that people would think had gone on. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe your lawyers are such good lawyers and your client had a good case. But in the last day or two, all we've had on social media and in the print media is this story. And I think that is unnecessary press for him and for the party. The MPP has all the work cut out for us to do. We don't need these things going forward to come and interrupt and people make inferences. For me, I think the best thing for him to do is to basically refer the case to a different chambers to handle. There's no, the publicity and the negative publicity that comes with it is not needed.
All right, 2 quick stories I'd like you to react to in just about a minute. Police officer, 5 others in 1.56 million Ghana city job scam, and 5 persons, including a serving police officer, inspector in the Bono region, have appeared before a Sunyani Magistrates Court for allegedly defrauding 198 persons of various sums of money under the pretext of enlisting them into the various security services. Inspector Daniels Kwachin, 41, Prince Atta Edward, 48, a health assistant, Edward Bedu, 36, a physician assistant, Kingsford Amankona Diewo, 32, a teacher on study, Clement Kobe, 34, a trader, and Nana Poku preyed on their victims to parts with a total of 1,556,500 for the phony recruitment. So quite a number of things come to mind. First, what he spoke about, and then the whole bit. We have this latest Hotline documentary we're putting out by my colleague Emmanuel Jivenu, Job for the Boys, and how people are unemployed and all of that. People are preying on them to extract money they don't even have, simply to place them somewhere. And this is what happens in the end. Quick reaction, very quick one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. For me, I think what we are doing to our national security services, the police, fire service, immigration, is very unfair. We seem to want to basically pump all the party boys or party girls, be it the youth or the elderly or whatever age they are, into some of these vacancies. It's not fair what we are doing to our our security services. People taking undue advantage of our youth. Look, there are so many things that can be done to create employment. I've always said that the TVET that we are doing is a good thing. It should be expanded to graduates to also go back to TVET and learn some skill training. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend and I came up and he said, Kujo, that's a good idea. Look, our post office service is collapsed. And imagine today what delivery is to everybody in this country. Don't you think that if the postal service was revamped with technology and all the bells and whistles like US Postal Service, it will create a lot of jobs for the youth around the country? But the postal service is collapsed. Okay, and you have STC and VIP making more money from deliveries of packages and letters. Then you have to walk to collect it. Imagine the youth around the country in various have motorbikes that are delivering letters to people with the Ghana Post numbers that we have, Ghana Post addresses. Wouldn't you think it would change the life of a lot of people? It will. But we just have a lot of people who are not thinking. Okay, and I think it's unfortunate that we only think that the only way to create jobs is to put people in the security services. It's unfortunate. You know what I mean? We are really not doing the best to the service. And that is why, again, go back to the point that we were talking about earlier. When they are recruited, they really don't know why they are in the police. They don't have the desire to be law enforcement. They are just there because they think it's work. And they look pretty in their uniform and stand on the side of the road with a bike next to them.
Let's wrap with these stories from two papers, and in just about 2 minutes we have to go. Mahama calls for African youth empowerment, and he has called for youth in Africa to be empowered with tools and skills they need to thrive in this fast-changing, globalized world. He wants young people on the continent to also be encouraged to take an active role in the governance of their country. He spoke at the 2022 Liberty University Convocation in Virginia, USA. There's also, when you go to the entertainment page, Burna Boy links up with DJ Khaled. And of course, we know about the American... Pardon me?
DJ Khaled.
Okay, so in actual sense, the K sound doesn't come, but yeah, let's say DJ Khaled. So the American DJ has been spotted in the studio with Burna Boy. You should see the images here. Beautiful. I think Burna Boy is flying the image of Africa high, just as other artists are doing as well. Abiana promises fireworks at Zen Gardens, but this one, inflation hits 37.2% in September. The last I remember, in August, it was 33.9. So let me see, that's 3.3% that has been added on. And finally, tighten monetary policy further. This is in the Business Finder, and that is to restore price stability, IMF advises Bank of Ghana and central banks. Quick reactions to any of these stories, and it's a wrap.
Well, Ben, when you always go with the way things are pronounced, you probably make a mistake. I don't know if you've seen the joke where somebody goes to America and they tell him that San Jose is San Jose, right? And he says, then I am in Honorary. And I was born in Hoon.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, it's DJ. The K is pronounced. Anyway, it's a good thing, Burna Boy and the African. Look, today, what I'm proud of is that our music, which is the music of Africa, West Africa, which we are very proud of, is high in America. When I'm in the US, I hear our music played on Hot 97 and stuff like that, which is very impressive because back in the day, you hardly hear any African music on Hot 97. And you hear that they play Jay-Z's new releases and then they play Davido or they play any of the African music. It's really touching. And I'm happy that the industry is picking up. The thing I want Ghanaian artists to do is to basically come up more innovative and let's also prop our own. It's becoming too much of Shatta and our brother in Tema, what's his name? Sarkodie. A lot of the high life stars are not metaphoring into the new. Lumba and Charles, what's the name? Charles something brought us the high life.
You mean DL, Daddy Lumba?
Yeah, Daddy Lumba and Charles, what's the other name? Charles something. They brought us the Boga High Life. You know, Ben
Charles Gabe, Fosu. Is it not Daddy Lumba you're referring
to? There's another Charles who was also a high life artist. You know, but they brought us the Boga High Life. that has metaphors. Now we should be able to move it up and basically make sure that it's born into. Now we are all looking at Amapiano and all those things, trying to bring in the South African rhythms into our music. But the African rhythm is also, the Ghanaian rhythm is good. I think, look, the monetary thing for me, we've talked about.
We have to go, so this has to be just about 20 seconds.
Yeah, my brother, I'd rather talk about music than talk about the physical policies. It's too much headache for me and you. Let's just. But a quick one.
All right.
The flats in Bawe, Tetegu area. I think I'm trying to help the MP and the people of the area to bring awareness and to also raise some funds for the people.
You mean Honorable Tina?
They need.
Is it Tina?
Yes, Tina Mensah. Yes, they need mattresses, they need rice, they need oil. So any businessman, any organization that can please go to their aid with mattresses, oil, rice, anything that can help the residents of the area will be very welcome.
Thank you so much. I was there yesterday. You should watch, from around 7:30, 7:40 thereabouts, because we have a package that we're bringing on that specific bit. So do stay with us. But Kojo Poku is an energy analyst. We're grateful for your time this morning, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Let's not waste any further time. Sports is up next. We serve you the very best. Do stay.